They're legendary. They're lethal. And in many countries, they're completely illegal. But that doesn't stop the most die-hard collectors from searching, bidding, and dreaming. Welcome back to the channel. This is the ultimate countdown of forbidden firepower. 10 banned guns that collectors still want. Whether it's due to political bans, military-only origins, or sheer destructive potential, these guns are off-limits to most civilians, but their demand remains red-hot. So, lock and load, we're starting with number 10. And trust us, this list only gets wilder from here. 10th FNF 2000. The futuristic rifle, too tactical for civilian hands. Kicking off our countdown is the FNF 2000. A rifle so ahead of its time, it scared governments into banning it. At first glance, the F2000 looks like something out of Halo or Ghost Recon. This bullpup rifle, developed by Belgium's Fabrique Nationale, FN was introduced in 2001, designed with NATO modularity and urban warfare in mind. It quickly gained a reputation among elite units for its innovative features: fully ambidextrous controls, a forward ejecting system to prevent brass burn in tight formations, and a sleek integrated sight system. Chambered in 5.56 by 45 mm NATO, the F2000 has a 15.7-inch barrel nestled inside a compact 29-inch body, made possible by the bullpup configuration. It uses standard Stanig magazines and offers semi- and full-auto fire modes, depending on the version. But here's the catch. Despite its innovative design, the F2000 is heavily restricted or outright banned for civilian ownership in many countries, including Canada, Australia, and most of the European Union. Why? Primarily because of its military styling, select fire capabilities, and modular grenade launcher compatibility. The Canadian government classified the F2000 as a prohibited firearm under the RCMP's 2020 regulation expansion, and that hasn't changed as of 2025. Even in the United States, where semi-auto versions were once available, imports are rare and expensive. The full auto F2000 Tactical is strictly for military contracts. And with FN halting production of civilian variants years ago, the market is starving for them. Despite this, collectors drool over the F2000. Why? Because it's not just a firearm. It's a piece of modern design history. It balances futuristic form with battlefield function in a way few guns do. And for the lucky few who own one, the value just keeps climbing. Bottom line? The F2000 isn't just banned, it's coveted. It's one of those rifles that proves form and function can coexist, but not without regulatory red tape. 9. Steyr AUG-A3, the iconic bullpup that's too tactical for some countries. Next up, we have a rifle that's instantly recognizable in pop culture and modern warfare. The Steyr AUG-A3. If you've ever played Call of Duty, watched Die Hard, or studied European Special Forces, you've probably seen the August. Developed in Austria by Steyr Mannlicher, the AUG, Armee Universal Gewehr, is one of the most successful bullpup rifles in history, combining futuristic design with battlefield ruggedness since the 1970s. The A3 model, introduced in the early 2000s, upgraded the platform with a modular rail system, enhanced optics capability, and better barrel interchangeability. It remains in service with military forces around the world, including Austria, Ireland, Australia, and Malaysia. Technically, the AUG-A3 is chambered in 5.56 NATO, uses a 16 to 20-inch barrel, and feeds from proprietary translucent box magazines. The rifle's bullpup design shortens overall length without sacrificing barrel length, making it a perfect CQB and field hybrid. But here's where it gets complicated. The AUG-A3 is restricted or banned for civilian use in several major countries, including Canada, the United Kingdom, and many U.S. states like California, New York, and New Jersey. Under these jurisdictions, the AUG's military look, semi-auto capability, and detachable magazines categorize it as an assault-style weapon. In Canada, for example, the AUG was reclassified as a prohibited firearm under Bill C-21 reforms, making possession illegal unless grandfathered in before 2020. Australia also lists the AUG under Category D or E depending on the state, meaning ownership is typically limited to police and military contracts. Even in the EU, tighter regulations under the Firearms Directive have made civilian acquisition more difficult in countries like France, Germany, and Spain. Despite these barriers, demand among collectors is sky-high. Why? The AUG is not only iconic, it's weirdly practical. The integral optic, durable polymer body, and ambidextrous conversion options make it a dream gun for enthusiasts who value innovation. More importantly, its limited availability has made it a grail item. In the US, pre-ban AUGs often sell for over $3,000 to $5,000, depending on condition and accessories. 8. Nurinko Type 56, the AK that's both feared and desired. The Nurinko Type 56 may look like a standard AK-47 to the untrained eye, but to firearm collectors, it's a piece of Cold War history wrapped in controversy. Manufactured by Nurinko, China North Industries Corporation, since the late 1950s, the Type 56 is China's domestic version of the Soviet AK-47. It was widely exported during the Cold War to Allies and rebel movements, becoming one of the most proliferated assault rifles on Earth. Recognizable by its full wooden furniture, fixed spike bayonet, and stamped receiver, the Type 56 earned a reputation for simplicity and reliability, just like its Russian predecessor. It's chambered in 7.62 by 39 mm, operates on a gas piston, rotating bolt system, and has a 30-round detachable magazine. Fully automatic in its original form, Nurinko also produced semi-auto variants for export in the 1980s and early 1990s, just in time to attract both civilian shooters and government scrutiny. In 1994, the U.S. government placed Nurinko on a federal import blacklist due to concerns over trade relations and military exports to rogue states. The Federal Assault Weapons Ban, 1994 to 2004, further restricted semi-auto imports, but even after its expiration, Nurinko AKs remained banned due to sanctions. Today, Nurinko firearms are still prohibited from civilian import in the United States under ITAR and EO 12938, and banned or tightly controlled in Australia, Canada, and most of Europe. Yet collectors keep chasing them. Why? The Nurinko Type 56 has authentic AK DNA. It's not a clone, it's a full-fledged state-built rifle. The fit and finish aren't always refined, but their historical value, especially pre-ban models, is immense. Even more, the Chinese Type 56 has battlefield pedigree from conflicts in Vietnam, the Middle East, Africa, and beyond. In the private collector market, semi-auto Type 56 rifles imported before the ban have skyrocketed in price. A clean example can fetch $2,500 to $4,000, sometimes more if the bayonet and furniture are original. Bottom line? The Nurinko Type 56 isn't just a rifle, it's a relic. It's banned, blacklisted, and battle-proven. That's a combination that collectors can't resist. 7. Heckler Koch G36, the German rifle the government won't let go. The HK G36 was once hailed as the future of German infantry, but now it's more likely to be found in a locked armory than a civilian gun safe. Designed in the early 1990s by Heckler Koch to replace the aging G3, the G36 brought modularity, weight reduction, and integrated optics to the table. Used extensively by the Bundeswehr, Spanish Armed Forces, and several NATO countries, the G36's lightweight polymer construction and signature dual-sight system made it one of the most modern rifles of its time. Chambered in 5.56 NATO, it features a rotating bolt, gas-operated system, 30-round polymer magazines, and integral optics rail. It's an excellent shooter, light recoil, high accuracy, and easy to maintain. But despite its military success, the G36 has been heavily restricted or banned in civilian markets globally. In Germany, civilian ownership of the G36 is virtually impossible, as full auto platforms are restricted to state use, and semi-auto conversions are tightly regulated. In the UK, the G36 falls under Section 5 classification, making it banned for civilians. Canada followed suit in 2020, placing the G36 and its variants on the prohibited list, citing its military configuration. Even in the United States, where semi-auto variants like the HKSL-8 were briefly available, they've become nearly extinct. Imports were suspended due to compliance concerns with the 922R parts rule, and genuine G36 receivers are restricted from sale without extensive modification and high cost. A few custom builders offer G36 kits using demilled parts, but they cost upwards of $4,000 to $6,000 and are legally complex to own. So why the obsession? Collectors see the G36 as the last iconic German rifle of the 20th century. Its futuristic build, NATO service history, and HK pedigree make it a highly desirable, but hard-to-get, addition to any serious collection. Even non-shooters admire it for its design and engineering elegance. Bottom line, the HK G36 is a collector's paradox. It's common in military arsenals, but nearly impossible to own legally. That tension makes it one of the most sought-after blacklisted rifles in the world. 6. Sig SG550 151. Swiss precision too pure for civilian hands. In the world of rifles, the Sig SG550 and its shorter variant, the SG551, are like the Swiss watches of the firearms world. Mechanically precise, gorgeously built, and, unfortunately, banned in more places than they're allowed. Designed by Sig Sauer, Switzerland, in the 1980s for the Swiss Armed Forces, the SG550, also known as the Sturmgewehr 90, was the nation's answer to NATO's 5.56 by 45 mm standardization. But true to Swiss form, they didn't just build a rifle, they engineered perfection. The SG550 features a gas piston operating system, cold hammer-forged barrel, and precision-machined internals, resulting in incredible reliability and sub-MOA accuracy, straight out of the box. The longer SG550 was intended for general infantry, while the SG551 carbine catered to special forces and vehicle crews. And while the rifle is semi-auto in its export variant, it's still banned or strictly regulated in Canada, Australia, the UK, and much of Europe. In 2020, Canada placed the entire Swiss Arms Classic Green line, which includes the SG550, on the prohibited firearms list under Bill C-71. Australia classifies the SG550 as Category D, effectively banning it for civilians. Meanwhile, in the US, semi-auto variants are only legal if they were imported prior to the 1989 and 1994 assault weapons import bans, and even then, they're subject to 922R compliance. The real problem? Sig stopped producing export versions years ago, making them exceedingly rare. And the Swiss government strictly controls the export of original military SG550 rifles, meaning no new stock is coming. For collectors, this rifle is the equivalent of chasing a unicorn that shoots sub-MOA groups. Prices have skyrocketed. A pre-ban SG550 or 551 can now fetch upwards of $6,000 to $9,000, depending on condition and provenance. Bottom line, the Sig SG550 series isn't just banned, it's becoming extinct. And when precision meets prohibition, demand doesn't go down, it explodes. 5. Barrett M82A1, the .50 cal sniper that shook the law. The Barrett M82A1 is not a rifle, it's a legend. A weapon so powerful, so iconic, and so controversial that it's been banned, restricted, and debated across multiple continents. Designed by Ronnie Barrett in the 1980s, the M82A1 was the world's first successful semi-automatic anti-material rifle. Chambered in the enormous .50 BMG Browning machine gun cartridge, it wasn't meant for deer hunting. It was made to disable vehicles, destroy radar dishes, and punch through engine blocks at over 1,500 meters. Weighing around 30 pounds, the M82A1 features a 29-inch fluted barrel, a massive muzzle brake, and a 10-round magazine. The recoil is mitigated surprisingly well, and its long-range accuracy is shocking for a semi-auto of its size. But with power comes legal pushback. The UK banned civilian ownership of .50 BMG rifles under the Offensive Weapons Act 2019, citing terror concerns and potential for misuse. Australia classifies it under Category D, barring ownership except under military or specialized police contracts. In Canada, the M82A1 was banned under the 2020 reclassification of military-style assault rifles. And in the United States, while federally legal, it's banned in California, New York, and several other states, where it's often lumped into destructive devices or unsafe handgun categories due to its caliber and purpose. Still, the M82A1 is the ultimate status symbol for American collectors. Legal in most free states, but hard to justify as a practical rifle. That's why it's loved. It's impractical, excessive, loud, and awesome. Prices reflect this status. A new Barrett M82A1 can set you back $8,000 to $12,000. And that's before you even start talking optics. Bottom line? The Barrett M82A1 is banned where governments fear its power, and that only makes it more attractive to collectors. It's the ultimate forbidden fruit of long-range firepower. 4. Heckler Koch MP5 Full Auto Variant. The subgun that defined counterterrorism. When you picture a SWAT team breaching a door or a counterterrorism unit in action, chances are the HK MP5 is in their hands. Sleek, compact, and reliable, this 9mm submachine gun became a global icon. But despite its legendary status, if you're a civilian collector in most parts of the world, you'll never legally own a real MP5. At least, not the full auto version that made it famous. Designed by Heckler Koch in the 1960s, the MP5 uses a roller-delayed blowback system borrowed from the G3 rifle, giving it smooth operation and excellent controllability. Its compact design, low recoil, and precision made it a favorite among elite units like Germany's GSG-9, Britain's SAS, and U.S. Navy SEALs. It rose to fame after the 1980 Iranian embassy siege, where SAS operatives used MP5s in a textbook hostage rescue that aired worldwide. Chambered in 9 by 19mm, with options for full auto, 3-round burst, or semi-auto, the MP5 is extremely versatile. But that same versatility has made it a target of legislation. In the United States, real full-auto MP5s are prohibited for civilian ownership under the Hughes Amendment of the Firearm Owners Protection Act, 1986. That means no new machine guns can be sold to civilians after May 1986. Pre-1986 transferable MP5s exist, but they're insanely rare and expensive, often going for $35,000 to $50,000 plus, depending on condition and provenance. Elsewhere, the UK, Australia, and Canada all restrict or ban ownership of full-auto firearms entirely. Even in Germany, where the gun was born, civilian ownership of military-grade MP5s is a no-go. Some companies like Zenith, PTR, and Omega manufacture civilian-legal, semi-auto MP5 clones, but collectors know they're not the same. Nothing replicates the full-auto burst of an original HK MP5 with factory markings and provenance. Bottom line? The MP5 isn't just a firearm, it's a symbol of modern law enforcement and elite military power. And because you can't have the real thing, collectors want it even more. 3. Frenchie Spaz 12. The tactical shotgun that was too scary to survive. You've seen it in Jurassic Park, Terminator, and nearly every 1980s action flick. The Frenchie Spaz 12 isn't just a shotgun, it's a movie star. But in real life, this Italian-made 12-gauge gained a reputation for being too tactical for civilian hands. Developed by Frenchie in 1979, the SPAS 12, Special Purpose Automatic Shotgun, was unique in that it could switch between semi-automatic and pump action with the push of a button. This dual-mode operation allowed it to handle everything from low-pressure beanbags to high-powered slugs, ideal for law enforcement and military roles. It featured a folding metal stock, heat shield, pistol grip, and sometimes a hooked stock for one-handed operation. Chambered for 12-gauge shells, with a tube magazine that holds up to 8 rounds, the Spaz 12 was undeniably intimidating, both in looks and function. That intimidation, however, led to bans. In the United States, the Spaz 12 was targeted during the 1994 federal assault weapons ban due to its military-style features. After the ban sunsetted in 2004, many SPAS 12s remained legal, but importation had long been halted under 922R compliance restrictions. Today, only pre-ban units are legal, and parts are difficult to source. Canada banned the Spaz 12 entirely under its prohibited firearms list, and Australia did the same under Category D classifications. The UK and Germany also have tight restrictions on combat shotguns with high-capacity tubes and folding stocks. Why do collectors still want it? Because the Spaz 12 is pure 1980s tactical art. It's chunky, overbuilt, and absolutely cool. While it was known to be somewhat heavy and finicky in real use, no other shotgun screams tactical apocalypse like the Spaz 12. A clean, working Spaz 12 today can sell for $5,000 to $8,000, depending on condition, stock configuration, and whether it has original franchise markings. Bottom line, the Spaz 12 was banned not because of what it did, but because of how it looked doing it. And that's exactly why collectors still want one. Second, FNAL Select Fire, the right arm of the free world that's now out of reach. The FNAL wasn't just a battle rifle. It was a symbol of Cold War freedom. Dubbed the right arm of the free world, this 7.62 by 51mm powerhouse armed more than 90 countries, from NATO forces in Europe to African and South American armies. Developed by Fabrique Nationale, FN Herstal, in the early 1950s, the FAL was designed to counter the Soviet AK-47 with Western firepower. Its select fire capability, robust gas piston action, and adjustable gas regulator made it ideal for harsh combat environments. It became the standard-issue rifle for British, Australian, Canadian, Israeli, and West German forces, just to name a few. If your country stood against communism in the 20th century, chances are you were carrying an FAL. But as military contracts dried up and the rifle aged out of active service, the FAL started disappearing, both from arsenals and legal civilian ownership. The select fire military versions are now banned or heavily restricted in the United Kingdom under post-1988 Firearms Act revisions, Australia, classified as Category D or prohibited, Canada, outright banned under 1985 Firearms Act revisions, Bill C-71 and 2020/2022 reclassifications. Most EU countries, due to full auto capability, and in the US, true full auto FALs are restricted under the 1986 Hughes Amendment, with transferable models extremely rare. Civilian semi-auto variants like the DSA SA58 and Imbel FAL clones exist, but collectors know there's nothing like the real Belgian-made Select Fire FAL with that iconic carry handle and 20-round mag. Finding one legally is a different story. Pre-ban transferable FALs in the US now fetch $30,000 to $40,000 plus, and overseas, even parts kits are drying up due to stricter export and demilitarization rules. Bottom line? The FNAL was once everywhere. Now, it's almost nowhere. A Cold War legend that's increasingly off-limits and more desirable than ever.
First, AK-12, Kalashnikov concern, the modern Kalashnikov you'll never own. Topping our list is the AK-12, Russia's state-of-the-art assault rifle and the latest evolution of the legendary Kalashnikov platform. Sleek, modular, and built for the modern battlefield, the AK-12 is everything the old AK-47 wasn't: refined, customizable, and deadly accurate. But unless you're in the Russian military or on a sanctioned arms list, you'll never get your hands on one. Introduced in 2018 by Kalashnikov concern, the AK-12 was adopted as the standard issue rifle for the Russian armed forces. Chambered in 5.45 by 39mm, the AK-12 features full auto capability, a redesigned muzzle brake, a modernized side-folding adjustable stock, Picatinny rails, and improved ergonomics over previous AK models. This isn't your grandfather's Kalash. With a select fire switch, low recoil impulse, and compatibility with night optics, suppressors, and underbarrel attachments, the AK-12 is designed for hybrid warfare in the 21st century. But it's also completely off-limits to civilians almost everywhere. Here's why. In the United States, sanctions imposed since 2014, Crimea, and updated in 2022, Ukraine war, and 2024 prohibit the importation of Russian-made firearms, including anything from Kalashnikov concern. Even semi-auto civilian versions made under license abroad are banned or tightly restricted due to their Russian origin or military configuration. In Canada, the AK-12 is considered a prohibited variant under Order in Council 2020, reinforced by the 2022 gun control reforms. In Australia, the AK-12 is automatically classified under Category D, or prohibited, as are all military-style full-auto firearms. In the European Union, the AK-12 is restricted both due to its select fire capability and Russian origin, especially following the 2022 and 2023 EU arms embargo expansions. Even if you could legally obtain one, Russia does not export the AK-12 to civilians, nor to most foreign military forces outside close allies like Belarus or Central Asian republics. Why do collectors still want it? Because it's the pinnacle of the Kalashnikov lineage, a modern icon of post-Soviet weapon engineering. The AK-12 represents a synthesis of decades of battlefield experience. Rugged simplicity meets modular combat capability. To own one is to own a piece of 21st century military evolution. But for now, it's locked behind iron sanctions and international restrictions. Bottom line? The AK-12 is banned not just by law, but by geopolitics, and that only adds to its mystique.
These 10 firearms are more than just weapons. They're cultural icons, technological marvels, and pieces of history. And while governments around the world have moved to restrict or ban them, collectors everywhere still chase them. Not for harm, but for heritage. Whether it's the raw power of the Barrett M82A1, the surgical precision of the Sig SG550, or the space-age design of the Steyr AUG, these banned guns represent something deeper than firepower. They represent engineering excellence and the enduring fascination with what's forbidden. Which of these firearms surprised you the most? Did we miss a gun you think should be on this list? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dive content on military gear, weapons history, and the world's most controversial tech. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep collecting.